Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Transpicuous News. I'm back again with the wild, the wacky, the wonderful, and the weird, and the ridiculous. It's April 14th. We're going to break today's show down into two separate shows because we're going to run through the news, and then I got a specific topic we're going to talk about at the end. But I think I'll break it into two different shows just to make things neat and tidy. Some weeks, the world just gets weird and weird and weird. And as we've been talking, the world lately has been getting more and more transparent. Some interesting shit going on this week. And again, sometimes what the media says and sometimes what the media doesn't say has a lot to say of what the fuck is going on. So let's go into the screen share. We'll start off with, my new most favorite. Oh, hold on, we're having an issue now. Come on. I don't know what's going on here, guys. There we go. Sorry about that. Having technical difficulties with our Windows. Zika virus is back again. Oh my God, it's the Zika virus. What are they trying to distract us from this week? Oh, I wonder. Because now, the alarm bells are being sounded across the United States about the Zika virus. Yes, see, apparently, let's go down here. It's worse, far worse than they thought. A Zika-carrying mosquito is now present in about 30 states across the United States, up from 12. Boy, they fly fast. While also confirming that the virus, which has been linked to birth defects, no, it hasn't, can be transmitted sexually, no it can't, as well as through mosquito bites. She says the virus is now linked to a broader set of complications in pregnancy. Oh, it just, the ridiculousness of this whole Zika virus thing is almost beyond anything I've ever seen. And anyone falling for this, I have no words. It's if you can't do the barest bit of research on your own to figure out that Zika virus has not, never has caused birth defects, and that microencephaly is caused by DTaP, the pertussis and whooping cough and all that lovely vaccine, and is caused by pesticide use, and that microencephaly in the United States, they already have on average 25,000 cases a year in the US alone of microencephaly. And now they're trying to blame suddenly all this on Zika virus, which of course is, as we've discussed so many times before, has never had anything to do with birth defects. Zika virus is a nothing virus. It's been around. We've known about it for 75 years. You get sick, you don't feel good, you get better. I don't even think that they've ever even been able to 100% for sure say that someone's even died from Zika virus. Ever. So, but, it's a terrible thing. And what I found really interesting is Obama, because he's so magnanimous in these things, decided to divert Ebola money. They'll free up about $589 million. Wait for it. Ebola money, $589 left over from Ebola money. What were they doing with that money? Wasn't that the money they just demanded they had to come up with to fund support for victims of Ebola and to fund, what was it, security? Oh, wasn't that when they sent the army into the nations, the African countries? Yeah, they sent the military in to help out with Ebola. So anyways, somehow, apparently, they have $589 million left over. And now they're going to funnel it into Zika for research on the virus and Zika-related birth defects, which, of course, we know there aren't any, as well as the creation of response teams to limit its spread. Oh, there's our clue. creation of response teams. Oh, are they sending the military in again? Are they sending the military now in all over the United States? Like they did in Brazil when they sent the military door to door to spray everyone's houses and get people to sign off on all kinds of shit. Yeah. Watch this space. And don't buy into the Kool-Aid. Interesting. Turns out that Australian Parliament has just legalized medicinal marijuana. And I went looking through this Narcotics Drug Amendment Bill of 2016. Yep, I went to the parliamentary website. It is there. Details? A little sketchy. I mean, you know, it's typical. The details are there, but first you've got to read through them all. And that's daunting in and of itself. So I will be reviewing this, and I actually have, like I said, a couple of people who just might be able to give us the answers off the hop. As soon as I find out, I'll let you guys know. This is a very interesting one for Australia. And if this law passes, or has been passed fully and completely in the way it seems to be worded to the public, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the changes that roll out. Like I said, I'm here now. I'll be watching real closely. Now, in case you hadn't been watching the news, the entire world is up in arms at the moment. Yeah. It's quite humorous, actually. This comes into that whole thing of what the news is not talking about. So over 400 people have been arrested, well over 400, I think that over 500 people now have been arrested in Washington, D.C. in the last 72 hours for peacefully protesting. Democracy Spring is what it's called. And it's been peaceful protests. It's been day after day. It's kind of interesting. 2 days ago, it was a whole bunch of senior citizens got arrested. I mean, they showed people in wheelchairs. Old guy in a wheelchair with his placard saying, basically, he's pissed off. And they were arresting people. And they basically arrested people until they ran out of space in the jails. Which in and of itself is kind of humorous when they actually decide to stop arresting people because they have no more place to arrest them. So they're just going to let them sit there and do their sit-in and continue their sitting. So what's their excuse for arresting them in the first place? This is the thing. All these arrests, there's been zero violence. Zero violence. Zero anything that could possibly constitute negative, non-peaceful protest. And yet, almost 500 people have been arrested. What's the excuse? That's what I think everyone should be asking about. Now, today, or I guess it would be yesterday, or today, I should say, in the States, going this time zone thing, Australia to the States, it really screws with your head because I'm already in your tomorrow. I'm time traveling. It was all about, they had Black Lives Matter was there, and here they go again, and there was a shitload more arrests, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what is interesting is on RT, we have an article comes out, and it's an op-ed article, so opinion. Democracy Spring is Soros-funded anti-Trump radical movement. Well, first of all, I mean, I'm not there. I'm not there. I can't report firsthand, but I haven't seen anything about this stuff as being anti-Trump, which is interesting, because we all know I'm anti-Trump, but I haven't seen anything to do with this that's anti-Trump. Now, as for it being Soros-funded, now we know George Soros and his, little groupies, they have funded all kinds of shit. They have funded Ferguson, Baltimore. They've tried to fund shit in Macedonia. They've tried to fund, they've all over the place. Maiden, I mean, Ukraine. They fund the violent protesters to go in, cause shit, cause trouble, take over. Do we know if this is accurate or not? No, of course we don't know. But I just want to point something out, and that was Occupy Wall Street was created by and funded by Wall Street. the bankers themselves, they started Occupy Wall Street. It was all done in a very, clandestine way of where basically you whisper in someone's ears, the right people who've got the charisma, who've got the drive, who want to create change, basically making it look like making these people think that they themselves have come up with the idea of starting this major protest. Occupy Wall Street, now we've got Democracy Spring. But while these protests have been perhaps co-opted or maybe even built from the ground up by the nefarious bankers, it could be your George Soros, idiots, and all the rest, they have been co-opted back by the people, which is why they couldn't stop Occupy Wall Street. It's gotten quieter, obviously, but they couldn't stop it because the people co-opted it back. And the people took control and they kept it peaceful. And they kept the violence to an absolute minimum. And a lot of the violent protagonists, or antagonists, I guess you would say, they were well seen as being who they are, as being obviously funded crisis actors who've been sent in just to cause shit. So Democracy Spring, we're going to watch this. This could be the moment where we see some really big changes in the fact of, again, another Occupy Wall Street where we could see the public getting highly involved if the people keep it peaceful. If the people don't allow the co-opters to co-opt them. Interesting. Now, the other thing, of course, about the whole Democracy Spring is what the basis of what they're trying to do. Their principles of unity are fantastic. If you go to the site, it's democracyspring.org. They've got some great stuff on it. Unfortunately, it's one of these things, though. It's a very short-sighted because it doesn't take into consideration what voting is, what elections are, and the fact that democracy doesn't exist. So, yes, the people are angry. Yes, the people want change. Are they necessarily going down the right route, i.e. their demands that they're making? Possibly not. But the people are standing up. Now, here's the thing. No media coverage. Obviously, there's been no media coverage on this. But they're not alone. Okay? I mean, so not alone. France? The French people are seriously pissed. They've been going for weeks, and hundreds of thousands of people have been taking to the streets for weeks on multiple levels of protests all over the country. French people are not happy. Italy? They're not happy either. And they're about to get even more unhappy when certain things become publicly acknowledged by the Italian government, i.e. the bail-ins of the Italian banks, and people are losing their shirts left, right, and center right now because of bail-ins. Oh yeah, expect that to get real hot. England? Well, this article is from the 11th of April, so it's 3 days old. They already had over 100,000 signatures demanding for snap elections and that Cameron be ousted. Now, there was a really good video that went out, which Corbyn addresses Parliament. And I just want to say for all my British friends, if that's how your Parliament acts regularly, wow, because I've literally taught kindergarten and high school classes that were more controlled and mannerly and calm than British Parliament. It was kind of ridiculous, really ridiculous. But anyways, if you have a chance to look, I'll try and remember to put the link to the video of Corbyn speaking in Parliament. It's about 12 minutes long. It's well worth listening to, just to watch the reactions on the pig fucker's face and various other people. Yeah, interesting. And Iceland, things are not going quietly in Iceland. And what may have been the revolution that wasn't may end up being the revolution that is. Because the Icelandic people aren't fucking happy. And the Pirate Party is apparently in the polls now got a 43% following, which is crazy. Crazy. But it's also an indicator of how pissed people are. Like, seriously freaking pissed. Macedonia? The Macedonian people yesterday stormed the presidential headquarters and basically tried to take it apart brick by brick. Again, there's a lot going on all over the world. Brazil, Argentina, all over Central America. People aren't happy. People are really standing up. And the media can ignore it, which they are, but they can only ignore it for so long. Like Occupy Wall Street, there comes a point when the media's silence becomes deafening, and they have to start talking about it. And they'll spin doctor it, and they'll try and, change it all up and make it all look different than what it is. But right now, we're seeing the media getting really thoroughly outed everywhere. And in a lot of ways, it's not just the transparency of what they do say, it's what they're not saying. And it's becoming so blatant that the people can't ignore it anymore. Now, there was a really good article here. This was in superstation95.com. This is a few days old, April 11th. This article came out, and I wanted to report on this earlier, and I just wasn't able to get a news story together. It's been a hell of a week. After emergency Federal Reserve meeting today, Obama and Biden to meet with Yellen, rumor martial law discussion for banking failure. Now, again, this is kind of a prepper kind of article. Gets a little into that patriot stuff. But the article is excellent because every single piece that they're telling you is happening is 100% confirmed. So we're talking G20 meetings with the financial ministers, central bank meetings, emergency meetings being called by Obama and Yellen. Obama and Yellen. These things are all happening this week. Things are tense. And there is a little piece that I had forgotten about. Forgotten. Isn't that funny how that works? It's a pretty major piece, and it's not being reported again as we get into the lead up. April 19th. On April 19th, China launches the yuan-denominated gold fix in Shanghai. April 19th. It's funny how that date just keeps coming up. Now this, February 25th, we discussed this back in February, actually back in January. But it was confirmed that the gold fix goes into place in Shanghai on the 19th. Gold back yuan, perhaps, could be whispers. There is whispers. Have to wait and see. What we are seeing, as this article actually goes through, a lot of the shit that's going on, Italy, Austria, both are in bail-in processes with their banks. Italy, especially, I'll give you rumors. Friend of a friend in Italy, well-off person in Italy lost everything. The bank took it to bail themselves in because the bank was on the verge of going bankrupt, and they started haircutting people's accounts. A la Cyprus, a la Greece, as I talked about on the roundtable 2 days ago, the laws are already in place. The laws were passed in the US, November 2014, to allow the banks to take your frickin' money. Australia, already there. Europe, already there. I suspect it was just done in Canada. Shave and haircut. That's what we're seeing. It could be about to roll out. So I'm just kind of cautioning people. It's not about fear porn. It's not about trying to spread the fear of financial collapse, but see it for what it is. There's shit going down. Seriously shit going down. And I don't know. Me, I don't have any money in the bank. I made sure I took everything out, just in case. What's interesting as well is while all this shit's going on in the markets, central banks, we're seeing Italy, Austria, we're going to see it in Germany too, because it's already hinting at around there, and France, and the Netherlands, and Belgium, et cetera, Spain, obviously. Goldman Sachs gets slammed with a $5.1 billion fine, get it, for serious misconduct in mortgage selling, going back to 2008. This comes right on the heels of Wells Fargo's $1.2 billion settlement. No, it's a fine. It's a settlement. This is not going to court. They're settling outside of court. They're coming to an agreement over $6 billion. Just between Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo is being paid out in settlements due to the serious misconduct in mortgage selling pre-2008. And the question keeps coming back of who gets this money? Who gets the money? This $6 billion that they have to pay in settlement. Who are they paying that money to? Because inquiring minds want to know. Let me tell you. Inquiring minds really want to know. Notice also that they're settling. So if they're settling out of court, that means no precedents are set. No legal precedents are set. So keep settling out of court. So maybe they can just keep on the way they're going. And just today, above and beyond the other emergency meetings, there was yet another emergency meeting today of the Fed. Interesting. Of course, none of these are all being kept super, super, super secret, silent. You can't get any information on them. Let's scroll down here. Here's what's interesting as you're talking about all the different meetings. We do know, however, that it is a very busy week for unexpected emergency meetings for the Fed, because according to the Fed's board meeting website today, that would be what would be April 13th in North America. Today at 3 p.m., the Fed held yet another previously unscheduled meeting under expedited procedures. Only instead of discussing rates this time, they are talking about institutions, infrastructure, and financial markets. Very, very interesting. And when you look at the fact that, give me a second, I got to remember what state was it. A friend of mine in, oh crap, sorry guys, I'm having a blank out. I don't think it was Kansas. Got a notice, the end of March, that her disability checks, federal disability checks, she wouldn't be getting one until July. And we so apologize. Talked about this a couple of reports ago. Where's the money going? Hey? Lots of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot. Across the pond, though, some more interesting shit going on. Very, very interesting shit going on. Egypt and Saudi Arabia. For a long time, apparently there's two little teeny islands, and they're like teeny little islands. And apparently they've been arguing back and forth who owns them. Is it Egypt? Is it Saudi? But there's a lot of interesting stuff about the argument back and forth of who owns them, especially in the last 50 years, because it's been almost the reverse of what you'd think, where it's like Saudi says Egypt owns them, Egypt says Saudi owns them. Back and forth. According to treaties, Egypt does own them. Treaties that were put in place pre-1932 when Saudi Arabia was officially formed. Now here's the thing. The Egyptian people have just found out that the Egyptian government, has just given these two islands to Saudi Arabia. Egyptian people not very happy about this. Anti-constitutional, because anyone who in the government who wants to give shit away, there has to be a referendum to the public. And they didn't do this. What's interesting, though, is that the King of Saudi Arabia is currently in Turkey, where, oh, let's see, after greeting him at the presidential palace, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah, Erdogan presented the Order of the State of the Republic of Turkey to the Saudi monarch. What? Okay. Interesting. And it goes on to talk about basically the fact that people are fucking pissed, the Egyptian people, about what's going on. Now, what's interesting is the history of these two little, there they are, there's the picture of them. Tiran and Sanafir. Little, I mean, they're barely more than rocks in the strait. They're small. See, at some point in time, Israel took over those rocks. And then they were ordered to get out. And it turns out that they never did. And that the Israelis to this very day are still occupying those two islands, regardless of who, Saudi or Egypt, owns them. There's a lot of interesting history about this. There's a lot of interesting comments. So, for example, a veteran lawyer, Khalid Ali, filed a complaint with the administrative court arguing that according to the 1906 maritime treaty between Egypt and the Ottoman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, Turkey, the islands are Egyptian, and the move amounts to a transfer of sovereignty. The treaty precedes the founding of Saudi Arabia in 1932. Egypt's constitution requires all treaties related to sovereignty to be approved by referendum, which of course didn't happen. This is rather sudden. This is after King Salman of Saudi Arabia went and visited Egypt for 5 days. And the other thing, the Egyptian people are pissed is because when Egypt gave the islands to Saudi Arabia last week, the first people they told was Israel, not even their own people. What's good is the final comments on this one, Zero Hedge. What is emerging is that a new geopolitical triangle appears to be emerging. Pardon me. One of Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Egypt, and now perhaps Turkey, all on the same side. Interesting. Saudi Arabia, Israel, Turkey, all on the same side. I can't imagine how that could happen, except, of course, we've discussed this. When we look at the history of Wahhabism and the House of Saud, who started it? Who funded it? Where it all goes to? Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey all tied in together. Not surprising in the least. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. So, again, history of Wahhabism. Got to know who started what, when, where, why, and how. And all of a sudden, some of the shit that goes on in the Middle East makes a little more sense. Yes. And the CIA, final story, this is, the CIA, and we've talked about this in the Middle East, the whole Syria thing, they have Plan A and Plan B and all these things. And of course, last report we talked about basically the Pentagon's Syrian forces are firing on the CIA Syrian forces, and it's just gotten all ridiculous. So the CIA, it's been leaked, their Plan B is that they're going to give rebels, anti-Assad rebels, that would be Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra, just saying, manpads, which are ground-to-air missiles capable of taking down jetliners even. Isn't that funny? The CIA Plan B for Syria would be to give the manpads to counter Russia. Oh, here we go again. Counteracting Russia? Oh, CIA getting their fingers dirty in the pie. Oh, whatever will they do next? So, as I say, all you got to do is just kind of, remember who the rebels are and who the CIA works with versus the Pentagon. And God knows it's all confusing and it seems to change pretty much daily. My favorite last little article. And it's so funny because, of course, we talked about this on One People Roundtable. We talked about the Donald Cook, the U.S. destroyer, being 2 years ago when they were in the Black Sea and they ended up with the Russian jets unarmed flying overhead, kind of shaking shit up. And then all of a sudden they were dead in the water, couldn't do jack shit. Well, guess what? The same day that I was talking about that on the roundtable, apparently happened all over again to the Donald Cook. Again, apparently the Donald Cook is back in the Black Sea, and the Russian Air Force has been flying overhead over and over again. Not doing anything, just continuously flying overhead. No, I personally found it a giggle. Are they trying to rattle some cages? Or are they just testing out new equipment? One would like to know, wouldn't they? So that, my friends, is the first half of Transpicuous News. I'm going to take a quick break, perhaps have a coffee and a smoke, and I'll be back with the second half in a little bit. Bye, guys.